Hello again, NCAC sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in the NCAC. On this week's show, we'll look at action from across the North Coast Athletic Conference for the week ending on Sunday, September the 9th. To open this week's show, we'll hit the links and break down the first golf action of the year from across the North Coast. 6 of the 7 NCAC women's golf squads traveled to Granville Golf Course in Granville, Ohio for the Denison Fall Invitational last weekend. Wittenberg took home the team title after carding a 2-day total of 652, followed by host Denison in second with 669 strokes, Allegheny in fourth with 684 strokes, Ohio Wesleyan in 6th with 694 strokes, and Worcester in 7th with 725 strokes. Big Red freshman Bryn Fitzgerald fired a school record 4 over par 75 on Saturday and carded a 77 on Sunday, en route to earning medalist honors with a total score of 152. Fitzgerald was named the NCAC Women's Golfer of the Week for her efforts. In addition, the DePaul women's team was in action over the weekend at the Indiana University Fall Kickoff held at the IU Golf Course in Bloomington, Indiana. The host Hoosiers won the event after carding a 590, while the DPU Tigers finished 5th overall with a 2-day total of 654. DPU junior Paige Gooch led the Tigers at the event in 17th place overall with a 2-day total of 159. League golf squads will return to action this weekend, highlighted by Allegheny and DePaul traveling to Notre Dame, Indiana for the highly competitive O'Brien Invitational. And on the men's golf circuit, 4 NCAC squads competed at the annual Transylvania Fall Invitational at the University Club of Kentucky in Lexington, Kentucky. Wittenberg finished second overall with a 2-day total of 577, just 1 stroke behind Transylvania in the final team standings. Ohio Wesleyan was 7th overall with 594 strokes, Denison was 10th with a 612, and DePaul was 11th with a 36-hole total of 613. Wittenberg junior Ben Hogenkamp earned the NCAC's Men's Golfer of the Week award after earning medalist honors at the event with a 2-day score of 139. Hogenkamp's 69 in the final round on Sunday marks just the 17th time in program history that a Wittenberg golfer carded a sub-70 round, while his 2-day total of 139 ties for 3rd all-time in program history. NCAC men's golf action heats up this weekend as 8 of the league's 10 squads will travel to Granville for the Denison Fall Classic on September 15th and 16th. We'll now shift our attention to field hockey action, where league action started last week with 5 NCAC contests. Denison jumped into an early lead in the conference standings with a 2-0 record after knocking off Worcester 3-2 in overtime on September 5th and blanking Oberlin 3-0 on September 8th. Big Red senior Hillary Danowski came up big for DU as she netted the game winner in both league victories last week. Danowski was named the NCAC Field Hockey Player of the Week for her efforts. The DePaul field hockey squad opened play last week with a 6-0 league triumph over Wittenberg on September 5th, and then took down Rhodes 4-1 in a neutral site non-conference game played in St. Louis, Missouri over the weekend. League action continues this week across the conference with 8 field hockey games on the schedule. And for the second week in a row, NCAC cross-country squads shined over the weekend. Ohio Wesleyan hosted the annual OWU Invitational and Great Lakes Colleges Association Championship at Liberty Park in Powell, Ohio. The GLCA Championship is scored as a subset of the OWU Invitational. The Oberlin women took home the top spot in the team standings at the OWU Invite with 31 points, followed by Kenyon in second with 87, OWU in sixth with 180, and Worcester in 7th with 181, while the Yo women also captured the GLCA championship with 19 points, followed by Kenyon in 2nd with 58, OWU in 4th with 105, and Worcester in 5th with 106. NCAC Women's Cross Country Runner of the Week accolades went to Oberlin sophomore Carrie Lyons, who won the GLCA Individual Championship and finished second in the OWU Invitational with a time of 19:02:60 on the 5K course. In the men's race, Oberlin was second overall in the OWU Invite behind Ashland with 99 points, followed by OWU in fifth with 128 points, Kenyon in eighth with 170, and Worcester in ninth with 177, while Albion captured the team title in the GLCA Championships with 46 points, followed by Oberlin in second with 52, OWU in third with 69, Worcester in fourth with 88, and Kenyon in fifth with 89. NCAC men's runners were led at the event by Worcester junior Luke Hutchins-Getz, who finished fourth overall in the GLCA race and 12th in the OWU Invite with a time of 26:32:98 on the 8K course. Allegheny, DePaul, and Wittenberg were also in cross-country action over the weekend at the Calvin Knight Invitational in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The Gators paced all men's squads at the event, finishing third out of 19 teams, while DePaul was 10th and Wittenberg was 15th. In the women's race, Allegheny was 7th out of 22 teams, followed by DePaul in 9th and Wittenberg in 18th. DePaul senior Noah Dradi was named the NCAC Men's Runner of the Week after finishing 4th overall at the Calvin Knight Invitational with a time of 24:44:60 on the 8K course in Michigan. NCAC cross-country squads return to action this weekend, with DePaul and Wabash competing at the Indiana Intercollegiates in Terre Haute, Indiana on September 14th, while 5 NCAC squads will travel to Worcester for the Fighting Scott Invitational on Saturday, September 15th. 8 of the NCAC's 10 football teams saw action last week, with 4 squads coming away with victories, including Kenyon, Ohio Wesleyan, Wabash, and Worcester. The Kenyon Lords rolled to a 31-14 win over Earlham in its home opener last Saturday, giving KC its first victory since the 2009 season and its first victory in the Chris Monfiletto era. Senior running back Brett Williams rushed for a career-high 194 yards on 20 carries, including touchdown runs of 55 and 61 yards in the victory. Williams did garner the NCAC Offensive Player of the Week award for his contributions in the Lords' win. Ohio Wesleyan opened the Tom Watts era with a thrilling 32-29 victory over Denison in a non-conference matchup between NCAC rivals on Saturday evening in Granville. OWU junior quarterback Mason Espinosa became the program's all-time leading passer after completing 34 of 46 pass attempts for 302 yards and 3 touchdowns. Espinosa has accumulated 4,745 career passing yards, surpassing Jay Hood, who previously held the distinction with 4,469 passing yards. On the defensive side of the ball, OWU senior defensive tackle Tyler Swarry earned NCAC Defensive Player of the Week accolades after finishing the game with 8 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 3 total sacks. With the score tied at 7-7 early in the second quarter, Swarry swarmed the DU quarterback in the end zone for a safety to give the Battling Bishops a 9-7 lead that they would not relinquish en route to the 3-point victory. The North Coast football schedule officially begins this weekend with 4 games on the docket, including Kenyon hosting Hiram, Ohio Wesleyan traveling to Oberlin, Denison entertaining Wabash, and DePaul traveling to Wittenberg. Our next stop this week takes us to the volleyball court, where NCAC squads were again successful as the 9 league squads combined for a 26-10 record in non-conference matches. Hiram opened play last week with a 3-1 triumph over John Carroll in University Heights, Ohio, and defended its home court over the weekend with a 3-1 record at its own Hiram Invitational. DePaul extended its current win streak to 6 straight by sweeping 4 matches at the Rose-Hulman tournament. And 5th-ranked Wittenberg made a strong statement last weekend at the Juniata College A6 Invitational, highlighted by a 3-1 victory over top-ranked Christopher Newport in a rematch of the 2011 National Championship match. The Tigers also logged victories over number 9 Juniata 3-2 and number 17 Puget Sound 3-1. 4 of the Tigers' 6 victories this season have come against teams that were ranked in the AVCA Top 25 poll at the date the match was played. In addition, Tiger head coach Paco Labrador surpassed the 300-win mark over the weekend, and his career record now stands at 302-41. Wittenberg senior libero Christina Jolene earned the NCAC's weekly award for volleyball after being named MVP at the Juniata A6 Invitational. Jolene logged 71 digs and just 3 reception errors in 91 chances for an impressive 9.967 reception percentage. NCAC squads continue non-league action this weekend with Allegheny, DePaul, Oberlin, and Wittenberg all hosting early season tournaments. And finally, we'll wrap up this week's show by breaking down NCAC soccer action from last weekend. In women's action, Allegheny won the Fredonia State Blue Devil Classic after earning back-to-back shutout victories over Geneseo State and Fredonia State. In fact, since allowing a goal against Baldwin Wallace in a 1-0 defeat on September 1st, the Gators have not surrendered a goal in 411 minutes of action. Allegheny sophomore defender Sam Holderline was named the NCAC Women's Player of the Week award winner after being crowned the tournament MVP at the Blue Devil Classic. The Ohio Wesleyan women's squad also racked up a pair of victories last week, defeating Mount St. Joseph 2-0 on September 5th and Washington and Jefferson 1-0 on September 8th. The Denison men's squad posted a 2-1 record last week, defeating Capital in double overtime 3-2 on September 5th and Elizabethtown 3-1 on September 8th, before falling to Kane 4-1 on September the 9th. NCAC Men's Soccer Player of the Week accolades went to Big Red junior forward Blake Miller, who logged 5 points last week, after netting 2 goals and assisting on another. With 1:13 left in the second overtime against Capital, Miller tapped across from teammate Ryan Fine into the back of the net for the Big Red victory. Miller currently leads the NCAC in both goals and points with 5 and 11 respectively. Oberlin was also 2-1 in non-league action last week. After dropping a midweek contest against Baldwin Wallace, the Yeomen responded with back-to-back 2-0 victories over Waynesburg on September 7th and Principia on September the 8th. While a majority of the North Coast squads will continue non-conference action this week, Denison will travel to DePaul on Saturday for a men's and women's league doubleheader. The women's match is scheduled for 12 p.m., while the men's match is slated for 2:30 p.m. in Greencastle, Indiana. Fans, for up-to-date news, stats, and standings from around the North Coast Athletic Conference, you can log on to our website at www.northcoast.org. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at NCAC, as well as like us on Facebook. For the entire conference staff, I am Brett Billhart, and thanks for watching.